Good evening, everyone. On behalf of NSUDC, I warmly welcome all of you today at today's Members Development Program. My name is Musar Tanjung, and I'm going to be serving as your host today. Established in 1993, NSUDC has been one of the oldest and one of the most prestigious clubs at North-South University. For over 3 decades, we have worked not only to promote debating excellence, but we also promote to cultivate thinkers, communicators, strategists, and leaders. At NSUDC, we believe debating is not just confined to plethora of motions and myriads of rebuttals, but rather it expands our narratives, shapes perspectives, and influences conversations. And hereby, we bring today's session titled Articulate From Insight to Influence Crafting Iconic Brands. As the name suggests, the aim of today's MDP is to help participants comprehend and articulate the strategic understanding of brand communication and apply hands-on knowledge in real-life contexts. The session covers how brands define their stance in competitive and international market, how they define their trajectory, and how they maintain alignment across cultures, partnerships, and through pristine communication. Before I move any further, I would like to remind you that this is an interactive session. Please stay engaged, take notes, and if you have any queries and questions, please put them in the comment section below. We will be having a question answer session at the end, so stay tuned. We often see brands on our shelves in our daily lives, in universities, in our rooms, at homes, but have you ever wondered who are behind this iconic portrayal of brands? I doubt, but what we do not see is the strategic engine behind them. Today, we are joined by someone who doesn't just design brands, he scales them across borders. From local startup to global FMCG giants, he understands how a single consumer insight can be transformed into international markets and influence. It is now my absolute pleasure to introduce our guest speaker for today, Mr. Shah Paran. Shah Paran is a multidisciplinary brand strategist, designer, and marketing professional with an experience of over 5 years. Moreover, he currently serves as an assistant brand manager at Olympic Industries PLC, one of Bangladesh's largest FMCG companies. Today, he joins us to peel back the layers on how brand thinks, positions, and communicate, and collaborate systematically and strategically. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me to welcome Mr. Shah Paran. Sir, the floor is all yours.
Thank you for that heartwarming intro. Good evening, everyone. As she said, I'm Shah Paran, and thank you all for being here. Before I just begin today's session, let me just start with a simple thing. Obviously, for the next 1 or 1.5 hours, this won't be some workshop that will help you to understand how a brand function from zero to hero. That's not going to happen realistically. However, what I'll try to bring in the next hour to help you understand how we navigate a brand from locally, or how any brands function locally, and also when going international or multicultural countries, communities, how we take these brands and craft and make them iconic for any diaspora that exists. The agenda that I have for myself today, that I'll go through this process. First, I'll start with very basic, what is branding, or just to understand it. And later I'll share when I was in Blue, how hard it is to build a new category or a new product in a local market, or especially in Bangladesh. And then how this insight have a very important role in branding. And later down the line, the positioning framework, and most importantly, in FMCG management, brand management, things are a bit complicated. Things doesn't go straight or a linear line. So how do we do that at Olympic, and how any other brands do it? And later I will take questions from all of you. So that being said, today's, as the session suggests, we will start with what is branding. Now, across all the disciplines that we have: advertising, marketing, then sales, brand, and every other disciplinary team has a different definition of branding. However, the most I mean, the definition that I like the most is from someone. He's an author, Marty. He says branding is not a logo. It's not an identity. Neither it's a product. So he says it in a very interesting way. It's not. It's not even the product, not even the logo, not even the identity like color, font, or whatever we are choosing. Rather, it is a person's gut feeling about your product, service, or organization. So, what he's trying to say here is branding is not what we as an organization say it is, rather, it's what our customer think it is. So, one brand can have multiple perception across all the people, and that's what makes them brave and makes them feel good. And example, this is a very linear example. Out of all the circle, definitely you're gonna pick the black one, and that's branding. It helps you stand out in a market where everything looks the same and you are different. You are trying to say something different. And that's an interesting way to look at how brands work and what it is. That being said, um, currently, as I'm in Olympic Industries PLC, the largest biscuit manufacturer that is in Bangladesh. However, my earlier role or my previous role was at Blue, the fastest growing electrolyte brand that we have in the country. So I was the brand manager there. Now, obviously, Blue came into the market when there were no such category present in the Bangladeshi market. Um, and that being said, that's where the market reality and the insight comes to play before you try to establish a new brand and bring in a new product that can help you grow. So, in reality, back in that time, we have, as a consumer, people have few options. Like they have soft drinks like cola, beverages, and soda, whatever is out there. And there are energy drinks like Spade, Royal, Guru. There are a few other energy booster drinks. Apart from that, there were fruit drinks like mango juice, apple juice, and few other juice items, and there are artificial flavor drinks. Now, if we look at all these four options for drinking or beverages that you will purchase from a retail store, there is no options for you to feel better or that offers you something better than this junk food, right? And then at the same time, what happened is COVID happened back in 2020, and it lasted for 2 3 years, and it drastically changed the consumers and customers' perception towards food consumption, drinking consumption. And they wanted something. They just didn't want it to have or eat something. Rather, they wanted to have something that is cleaner, that is to some extent better, if not healthier, but better than the existing one that is present in the market, and a brand that is responsible. Now, aligning this all the insights, considering the fact that in the market outside Bangladesh, there were already electrolyte drinks present. Popular content creator Rafsan bring in the electrolyte drink Blue. Now, if we look at the insight and the reality, Blue is giving a consumer a better option than the existing drinking options that we have in the market. At the same time, it is offering something that is more reliable. It's to some extent helping you to consume drink in a fun, loving, energetic, that Gen Z vibe that it has. At the same time, it's not entirely that. It has the electrolyte component that helps you not boost energy, but it helps you to boost your electrolyte level and whatnot. Now, as we're saying, while working at Blue, there were many challenges. Since it's a very new category, there were always a question, how do we want to position it? How do we brand it? Obviously, branding did a very good job initially. That resulted in the largest following on the Facebook. Obviously, we have a backing of the celebrity influencer, Rafsan Bhai. But at the same time, the page itself ran as a creator page, right? We didn't have to spend a penny on the digital media. It just went boom because of the popularity and of the creator itself and the founder itself. However, it comes with few regulatory issues as well, right? As we all are aware. So in when we're talking about branding or in such elements, all the things comes into play, and that's why when we position any brand, we focus on four core components things, and that helps us to define what is branding and how my customer will pursue my product, my organization, or anything that I'm trying to brand. Like so, so this is the whole of positioning or the crafting the brand positioning that we do. It always start with what, then how, then who, and lastly why. If you don't have the answer for your product of all these what, how, who, and why, then your customer also doesn't know what it is, how does it come from, or how does it better from any other, who, I mean, who's there apart from you, and why should they pick your product compared to others? Like, if you don't have the answer of all of this, then you can't expect your customers and consumers to have the same answers from your product. Now, to elaborate this what, who, how, and why. So, in all the questions, we follow this checklist. In an agency or in an organization, if we have a big team, their full brand messaging team or full brand team will be sitting in a desk and finding out how to define all of this. Now, this is a very basic table chart that you can follow, that we do follow as well. So basically, what you do here, you ask a question. For example, I have a product. I'll start with what? I mean, you have to describe how do you look and feel the brand. I mean, how do you want the brand to be look like? How do you want to feel whenever you're looking at these products? For example, currently I'm working at Olympic. It's a biscuit. It's largely produce biscuits and cookies. We have few biscuits, so we want to have that look and feel, and also understand if someone is looking at my packaging or my product, they should feel tempting. They should feel the urge to have it or consume it. So also these are the words, you can choose verb, adjectives, or something descriptive word, a single word. So what you do is like make at least 15 words out of all whole team. Then we pick five and we finalize three. And this process is applicable for all the questions that you ask. Uh, and once you have the answer for all of this, then you can craft messaging that will help you translate what you are and what you are trying to do in the market and do the branding for. Uh, I hope if you guys have any questions, please feel free to left it in the comment, or we can have it at the end of the session. So now the most complicated part. So basically, what we have discussed about so far is what is branding, what is positioning. These are the very descriptive part, very basic of marketing and branding that you will understand. But things gets complicated when we talk about the FMCG, because in FMCG brand, first music, it's not like you are just managing a campaign. There are a few misconceptions that if you have a like very basic marketing campaign, that is branding, that's part of the branding. If you have a good visuals, if you have a good tvc, that's part of your branding and brand messaging, but that's not entirely um, uh, so technically when we talk about branding and brand management comes into the play, if you don't manage your brands correctly, then things will get complicated, and that's not good for big giants like FMCGs. So everything in FMCG brands, it works like a system. It's no longer, the system works in multiple arrays and multiple functions. It's not no longer about product price, distribution. It's more about consistency. For example, at Olympic, we export our products to 50 plus countries. We have a portfolio of 140 plus brands, our products. You can say it either way. In the whole, if we just break it down into category, we have 14 categories of items: biscuits, cookies, rusk, and then their confectionaries and whatnot. I hope many of you have, I mean, have tasted at least one of these. Um, we are in the market since 1979. It's almost 50 years old company, but still the product it has now, and it is building across the time and throughout the time based on the choice and the preferences of customer. It already gets complicated. However, that's also the exciting part. When we are trying to build a brand overseas, especially, like Olympic has been there in the local market. They are the market leader in Bangladesh in biscuits, biscuits and cookies categories. But when we are taking these products into a different country, things are no longer the same. In Bangladesh, we have regulatory bodies. They have their own preferences. You have to keep Bangla. You have a certain way to put your just the packaging. You have to put the nutrition facts in a certain way. You have some certifications that is required only for Bangladesh. But think of it like we're when we're exporting it to 50 countries, each region, or if each countries, many of the times have their own regulations, have their own requirement, and have their own certifications. And not to mention the fact that the languages we're talking here is different. In the Gulf countries, it's mostly Arabic. In Europe, it's French, English, Spanish, and whatnot. So, I mean, so when talking about or when it's about managing this portfolio of products, you can't have just you can't keep a focus on a simple campaign. You have to look up the, it's about the scale that we are talking about. Different brands will have different roles, And obviously, when we have different brands, it has different roles, different consumers. The pricing is different, and messaging will have to be different. Now, if all these things are unique for a single brand, then you can understand what it will be for 10 brands and what it will be for MNCs, like they have hundreds plus portfolio of brands. So that's what and when things gets more interesting and more exciting as a brand and as a marketer. It's not always linear. Obviously, branding is never linear. It's a single reputation of the company that you have to put out there. It's the belief system or the functionality of the uh, organization that you have to maintain at the scale that every brand feels different. Every brand has their own roles, but at the end of the day, everything should come to a single team. Now, if we talk about what's so this is the complications. We talked about how things or how brands are going overseas, their language barrier and their uh, regulatory barriers in terms of language certifications and the regulatory bodies. Since they're different, they have all of them have a different way of judging your product. That being said, um, where does the role of branding comes here, right? So those are the like basic mitigation that you have to do. So branding has a very interesting place here because when you do branding, it's, as we said, it's a collective effort. It's no longer an just campaigns. It's no longer just a message, or it's no longer just a post on socials. It's a collective effort that comes along with a single messaging or with the same tone of message that we have, with the same positioning that builds over the time. And this helps us to reduce our cost in the long term. It reduces the marketing cost drastically. If you have a good, sustainable, and reputed brand, your marketing cost will go way down. The customer acquisition cost will fall. You can grab and attract or bring any customers at a cost compared to any other on the market if you do a very good job on branding. So for say, when you are building, I mean, let me just give an example for a local SMEs or at university students. I see many of my friends are in the business of like they do small candle business. There are socks business. There are bakeries and cakes. So these SMEs also do branding, but that's a very niche skill. They have a very niche audience that they cater to, and they appeal to only to those communities, and they maintain that over the time. So the way their branding benefit them is, per se, they have a cake business and they are selling cookies. Later down the line, if they bring and if they were consistent throughout the time to their small community of 500 to 5,000 people, then they have a good job. So after a certain time, if they launch a cake, they don't have to like push it or make their customer believe that this is good quality because they have already had their cookies and the taste and texture of these cookies are consistent. The way they talk on social, on products, on packaging were consistent. It won't be a hard job selling their product extension. Customer will by default assume that they are bringing something good. So they will have the trust already built in them. It's the same way branding helps for bigger companies. For Olympic do invest on R&D. It do invest on longevity of products. So when they're doing a good job on the local market in Bangladesh, especially a few of the items are very popular. Energy, there is energy biscuits, there is pulse candy, there is nutty biscuits, and there are tip biscuits. So these are very household biscuits in Bangladesh. Now, when we have done a good job in Bangladesh, and we're trying to export it in 50 plus countries, it makes our job easier because the community we are catering to those countries are mostly Bangladeshi people or the people from they are from the same South Asian region, Bangladesh, India, Pakistan, Nepal, and so on. So these people, when they had our product tested and they are seeing this brand existed over 50 years and the taste has been consistent, the packaging has been consistent, and the message they are trying to pursue is consistent. So in export or in the global market or overseas market, we don't have to worry that much about it. um, it drastically that local relevance that we have and the flexible expression that we are having helps us to understand and also sell this product to that specific region. So, yep. The one thing that is always constant in branding is it's never constant. It's always dynamic. There is no magic in the world that will work like overnight success, and that never happens and that will never happen. Now, how does this branding comes into the place? And it's not no longer about branding comes into the place, it's about the insight that we are collecting from the market. It can be starting from very basic, a consumer insight. What's my customer need? Or what's the situation is demanding, or what's the current scenario or demands from the market? What's in the market that is bad enough that needs innovation or that can be helpful. So there is always some insight, or maybe I'm losing market share, or maybe my sales are going down, or maybe I'm not being able to generate sales. So there is always an insight before, even before we want to do brand works. So that insights helps us to the second stage, that is the strategy. Uh, so in the insight, we figure out multiple informations and collect that and interpret that to a core problem that we are trying to offer or solve. And then that strategy that we build helps us to be consistent, because you have to be consistent over the time, and you have to be there long enough to have that long lasting impact and influence on the customers. Because without that, things won't work the way we want to make it happen. So that being said, everything that I have discussed so far in terms of branding, this is a very good example for that. Blue. So as we say, and as we have seen, the soft drinks market, there were few insights and there were few market reality back then. And then why launch Blue? How do we interpret that insight into strategy and that strategy into something consistent and long enough to influence. Now, the problem that they have, so they what they wanted to do, they offered something that has electrolyte, that is not too sugary like any other alternative that we have, like energy drinks or carbonated beverages that is present in the market. Not It is less harmful than any other products that were in the market in the beverage categories, starting from the artificial flavored drinks to the carbonated beverages. And then Gen Z and the generation that they're catering to were looking for something vibrant and colorful for their understanding. So that's how, if you just interpret this, it can help you to understand. So by the end of this session, I will share these templates. There is a very long template of the brand messaging and positioning checklist that we have, and how to integrate that to a proper branding strategy that can help you build the brand from internal positioning, mission, vision, statements, and to the very end of the final execution. This can be uh, done here. So if you have since this is a very um, uh, like so I think I'll take a few questions now, if we have any, or I'll go ahead and continue. Is there any questions? Yeah. Yeah. So, what is the biggest? Yes, Apurva.
Okay, thank you very much for every information that you gave us. So we are going to start a small Q&A session because you wanted to answer some questions. So the first question is, what's the biggest mistake brands make while trying to reposition themselves?
Brands doesn't go for to start with. Brand doesn't go for a position themselves in usual scenarios, because it's way too costly. It takes time, and oftentimes it can backfire. There were few repositioning that we have seen that went very bad. What happened is, every time any brand that is trying to reposition themselves, they have to cater to the existing base that they had. There is some sort of emotion that is attached to the brands itself already. Usually reposition happens if the brand is trying to change its direction or focus to an entirely new area, or they are trying to adapt or with the existing space, or it has been way long enough in the market. So in these two cases, and there are a few other cases, they try to reposition themselves. But when repositioning, if you don't cater to your existing customer base, it won't work, and it will backfire like nothing else. There are brands in the on the overseas market, starting from Tropicana. They try to reposition themselves along with their packaging, and it was almost $1 billion mistake that they have done, because they changed their look entirely along with the messaging, along with the positioning, and the existing customer couldn't catch it. So it cost them the money, almost to $1 billion. So just on top of mind, you have to just remember that you already have loyal customer base or a base that you have to cater, and you shouldn't think way too outside that it looks like it's a new brand. So every work that you have done earlier just went to vain. Uh,
Thank you so much for your answer. Do you want to take one more question or do you want to continue?
I'll take one more question, then I'll continue.
Okay. We have one more question. Is global standardization better than localization when building export brands? And if you think so, why?
uh, is global standardization better than localization? It depends. Depends on multiple things, but from the perspective that I'm talking, I mean, depend on the product itself. If it's an FMCG brand, and I'm talking mostly from the FMCG perspective, ideally, we should always focus on localization because if every time we are trying to build something for export, if we do a very good job on the local market to build a product that my localities, my communities, my culture, or my countries prefer and would love to take, and that's a very good job that I can do. And for say, let me just give an example. There is pulse candy in the market, and there are biscuits in the market. So when I'm building that pulse masala candy that has a masala twist in the middle, or the center filled masala candy, however we put it. When we're building that product, we're not thinking about the export market. We're not thinking about what 50 other countries will, whether they will like this product or not like this product. It's more of a like, how can I build a product that can generate revenue to um, to make my this category or this product sustainable in the local market. I have to ensure that my localities taste buds matching the candy's taste, and once we ensure that, the market will accept the product. And if my market is if my local market or my home market is accepting the product itself, that means when I'm trying to export it to any other countries, generally what happens, 50% or more than the customers that we have in the export market will have the same taste buds or the same preference of the products. The only difference that we have and we will have in the export market is the regulatory bodies that we have in those places. Somewhere there you can use artificial color, but halal logo is mandatory. Somewhere there you can't use any color. Rather, you have to go for natural color, but halal logo is not mandatory. Those are the basic regulatory mandate, and you can adapt that final local product for the export market later on. However, this scenario will entirely change if it's a SaaS product. If you're selling software as a service, or if you're building something like phone, laptops, and any other tools, then things are a bit different here.
Thank you so much for all your answers. You can continue with your rest of the deck. And if you guys have any questions, we will take it at the end of the session.
Um, so now, okay. So this is this is the most interesting way to explain branding that I have so far in the recent times. As we are talking about branding, and we are trying to understand how things will work in the FMCG time. Now, let me just give some basic that we can differentiate. Like this is a differentiator here. We have a different color, right? Every other thing that is present here, we can consider them as my competitor brand, or they are in the market in the same ocean that we are in. Now, why I'm looking at this black dot instead of all the white dots? Because it's something different. Now, in branding and in customers' perception, we can create this difference in many ways. It can be a different brand color. For example, in MFC, mobile financial services that we have in Bangladesh, there were rocket, there were purple, there are Tatepsen, they are green, and there is Bikash, they are pink. So that's everything is differentiable. Same goes for the telco. There is Grameenphone. They're blue or sky blue. There is Robi. They have a combination of five, six colors, but red mostly. And there is Teletalk Green. So every brand out there on the same spectrum trying to position themselves differently in one way or other. It's never the same. And now this difference can be created by many ways. It can be by just a way you talk to your customer across your messaging. যে in Bangla we say যে like few brands talk with you with like যে আপনি, few brands can talk to you with তুমি. If it's 10 minute school or if it's an edtech companies, they are the teacher, so they position themselves as your mentor, as your teacher, so they can address you as tumi or such. However, if I'm in a service where I have elderly people or I have people who are like who are superior, who can be superior than me as a brand, then I will obviously address with apni or a general term that is accepted across all the I mean all the culture, all the norms. So this positioning in FMCG market, this positioning happens in mostly 3 to 5 ways. It can be based on the different brand elements. Brand elements, I mean, different type, different text, different logos, different color. That's one way to look at it. It can be by different shapes. Like Pepsi has one shape, Coca-Cola has other, right? They're easily distinctible. If you put it in front of myself or in front of yourself, you can easily tell the difference that it has on the shelf. At the same time, it can be done based on the pricing. You can price your product highly compared to your competitor. So that's a differentiative point and a perception that will have. You can also, and at the same time, you can position that or position your brand in terms of placements, where you are placing your products with, who is beside you, in which group or in the which shelf and which localities these products are available. And that also plays a very big role to create that differentiation. Now, the point here is whenever we're trying to do branding and we're talking about brand, it's never about being the same as anyone else in the market. It's more about being a different one, being someone who is different, who's not the same. And this helps you as a brand position yourself above anyone else in the same category. And for say, if I today put there's the popular you have, if I give you the option to choose a mobile financial company to send me money, there is almost 80% chances they will pick bKash because they have positioned themselves with trust, reliability, that you will go to them compared to there is Novo, there is TapTapSend, there is Rocket from Dutch Bangla. There are many other things, but because of their branding, their messaging, and their presence across over the time, things changes. The scenario changed entirely. Um, so in general, there is a basic formula that we follow in branding, that it's always uh, trust. Now, what is trust? Trust always comes with the reliability and the delightness. It comes from the meeting and beating customer experiences. The experiences that we'll have with my brand, whether it's happy, uh, comforting or exciting, along with the reliability that you have on me, will always push you towards building that trust on my brand. And brands will become, I mean, if you do, if you can manage to do so, your brand will become way too powerful and way too, and strategic tool that way more than just spreadsheet. In brand management, we do use Excel or spreadsheet, or there are a few other tools in terms of do the price mapping. There's for location mapping. There are multiple tools, but everything or every problem comes with the trust or reliability. When I'm launching a new product, the first question that comes to our market, will my customer trust this product enough to try it first? There is few other way we can push it, but if you have a good brand, by default you will have that trust established. Think of it like Apple. Like, if Apple is launching a new iPhone tomorrow, many of us will just run to it and have that purchased because we have the trust. If Apple is launching something, their quality will be good. That's not the same case for Xiaomi, because they haven't been able to build that trust with reliability and with that experiences that their customer had with their device. So that's another way to look at it. Now, uh, so so now if we just talk about the this concept to take it a bit further, like Marty said, that it's not about what we as an organization think who we are. It's more about what my customers thinks who we are. It's their perception about my brand. It's their feeling about my brand. It's about their choice when they are seeing my brand, whether they will take it or they will just drop it, whether they will get to the products or won't get to the products. And that this all thing is in their mind. And when it's happening in their mind, our question always is, how can we be that charismatic personality, or we have that personality, so that our customers choose ourselves over any other brands. And even if I'm selling just peanuts, like or honey nuts, my customers should feel that excitement to purchase it, that it's just not honey, it's just not nuts, I just want to taste it. I just want to feel that experience, what it is. And once you have it over the time, you will be able to build this based on multiple, based on few categories. Differentiate obviously is there. If you can't differentiate your brand, it won't work. That's the basic, principle mechanism of doing any branding. You just have to be different, think different, and messaging should be different. And the second most important thing is focus. um, Always you have to give that focus to your brand. Like the positioning mapping we had, who we are, what we do, and why does it matter. So if you have that answer and if you can bring that focus to your brand, it will help you to do better. Like Porsche, they have sports car, but it's not like any other sports car. They have given that focus to the brand that it worked over the time. And second is collaborate. You always have to collaborate on multiple levels. It can be on your products, it can be on another products. If I have a cookie brand, I might collaborate with a tea brand. If I have coffee brand, I might collaborate with a place that is full of young or full of corporate people based on how I want to position my brand. So it's like a community. At the end of the day, as branding is a collective effort of multiple activities that we do, the at the same way, when we do try to differentiate and position ourselves differently with focus and with consistency, it builds a community across. And once you have that community, you have few good enough customer base to discuss it about. Once you have that community, you have a uh, group of people who can give you insight, who can bring you that insight that hey, I don't like this of your product. I do like this about this product. Or maybe I will expect something if you can bring this feature to your system or to your product. Like we have center filled candy, then we don't have fruit filled candy. Maybe our customer says that we want something that will be filled with fruits, raw fruits. Maybe we can establish that. There are biscuits that comes with real fruit bars. Maybe you expect that. So if once you have that community or group of customer haters and likers both ways, you get insights, and that insights helps you to plan accordingly, starting from advertising, starting from conceptualization, product design, and putting it out there in the market. So that being said, at the very end, all you have to do is take that insight to bring that consistency, build up that strategy so that you become consistent. And as no brand will be there with overnight, you can't do that overnight thing with branding. So you have to be there long enough so that you can make that influence to all of your customers and all of your community that you are catering to and trying to cater. And then you have already built a brand. And that's it about me from my session. As this is a short time, I wish I could have said way too more or make it more organized if it's a 3 hour way long. However, if you have any questions, please drop it on the chat. I'll answer it there. Other than that, feel free to reach out through email or WhatsApp.
Thank you so, so much for this incredibly insightful and practical session. I'm sure everyone has gained a deeper appreciation of how strategic articulation shapes strong and credible brands. We will now open the floor for a brief Q&A session. Please drop your questions below in the comment section. Kindly keep your questions concise so that we can accommodate as many questions as possible. Okay, so we found a question. When it comes to branding, market research feels essential. What are the fundamentals one must understand to conduct effective market research? Is there a rule of thumb to follow?
So depends. If you're a big brand, I'm guessing we all are mostly university students. So when we hear the term market research, it always feels like 10,000 or 5,000 word reports. We have to go to hundreds of people to do the survey and ask for them. But yes, market research is one of the core component when it comes to branding. Uh, Depending on how big of a brand you already are, you need to go for market research accordingly. Now, the most important thing when you are doing or going for branding or market research here especially is to like ask the right question. Don't go like 10 or 12 questions across and then you ask what you wanted to. That's one way to do it. But if you just want to get an insight, I have this item. Hey, will I buy it or not? You can ask this as straightforward. Or what feature of this you like the most? If I ask 20 people, 20 people will have different answer, and I can find out what's the most common aspect these 20 people like. Maybe tens of them like the color, and when I'm planning my branding, I can say that with the most innovative color that Gen Z likes in the market. So I mean, basically, just ask the right question and ask it to the right people, right group of people who will be your customer with, or who actually is within the umbrella of your brand. Hope I answered your question.
Or should we jump into that?
Okay. We got a second question. What's the first research step you take before repositioning a brand?
The first step when repositioning a brand rightly is to, I mean, obviously, when we are repositioning a brand, we have some sets of criteria that why we're repositioning it. If we want to repositioning it for future, like Grameenphone did, Kache Ashun Grameenphone. So before that, it was a brand that felt like old or aged when they are moving into 5G, 4G, or 3.5G. 4.5G is there. So when you were transferring from talk time or mobile phone call rates to data uses, you have to rebrand it. It's for betterment. So the purpose that you have for your rebranding is the first step that you should take. Since the dynamic will be changing based on your criteria that you all collectively thought out, that this is the reason I am collectively doing the repositioning. For example, Blue recently relaunched its brand. And it's saying that it's now BSTI certified. Now they had to go with a new packaging and new way of saying it, because previously they had to stop it because from Bangladesh regulatory body there were no permission to sell any electrolyte drink in the Bangladesh market, and that was applicable for all the giants and all other brands. Now, as they are coming back with this product after few months of break or few years of break, they have to tell that this was the reason they stopped it. Now they don't have that reason. They have a better reason that you can trust. Now it's under BSTI. Now they gave it a new look so that you can feel that presence. So it's always what you are trying to achieve.
That was so many new information. Now we're going to take one more question. Where do we get the slides, and will we get any bonus links or sources?
Yes, I'll share the slide with the team, and they will pass it to you, audience, or I think they have some sort of way to pass it to you guys. At the same time, yes, there is. I'll share a list of documents. It includes YouTube podcast if you are building an D2C brand, especially during university time. There are a few podcasts out there that I have listed down, and there are a few links and frameworks that you can practice even for university lectures, or apply it to your brand, or when you are working for any organization that might be helpful for you.
Okay, thank you so much for you'll be sharing us the slides with us. And the fourth question is, how do you decide between emotional versus functional brand messaging?
It's mostly on the products or the organization that we are in. You can hit, I mean, it's always better, less riskier to go with the functional brand messaging, because you have a very rock solid data to back it up, or rock solid, very hardcore information that this is the function, this works. There is no doubt on that. This tastes like that. However, when we go for emotional messaging, things are a bit different here. You are trying to touch your customer's emotion at a place so that it becomes. They build that attachment, right? For example, Gramin Phone do Shopno Jabe Bari Amar. That's a very sentimental song that they use to touch the emotion of the people who's going from Dhaka to anywhere in the country. So that's one thing. Now, at the same time, Grameenphone have that functional brand messaging. They do say they are the fastest internet data that you can have. They have the cleanest network. There is zero call drop. So there are a few functional brand messaging that Grameenphone also have. So whenever deciding whether to go for emotional or functional, if you go too functional, it looks like a robot. And if you go too emotional, that's not a good thing either. So ideally, most of the cases, what happens is that you have one or two emotional messaging or emotional touchpoint that you want to do, or you think your customer mostly care about. You keep that. Other than that, all the functionalities of your brand, you keep passing that through your messaging.
Moving on to question number 6. When branding products for legacy brands such as Banglalink or Olympic, how do marketers balance appealing to existing loyal consumers while evolving the brand for new audiences?
Okay. So answering it for Olympic is much easier for me. When we're branding a product, or it's a legacy brand, right? If a brand is present there since 1979, it did something, and it is doing something very right to still be there in customers' preferences. Like Coca-Cola is there for 200 years, still people like Coca-Cola. Olympic is there for 50 plus years. Still, people purchase the biscuits that they care. Now, that's also, I mean, so there is an easy part of branding for such legacy brand, because you don't have to create that awareness that this is something. People already have a perception about Olympic. People already have a perception about any legacy brand, so they know what this brand is, what they can bring. They have that thought or framework in their mind that this brand have this certain quality and this certain amount of product. Now, the only challenge that comes along with branding for a legacy brand um, is to let them know that this is something new. It's not the same thing we are bringing it. Like if I tomorrow launch a biscuit and say, "Hey, we are launching a biscuit from Olympic," that's not something new for you. Like we have almost 80 plus biscuits brands in Bangladesh. So customer question is, what's new in it? Why should I get it? Then I say, for the first time, it's Olympic is bringing sugar-free biscuits. Now that's something you want to hear, or maybe, oh, it's sugar-free. Let me try it. Like you create that interest, or you create that suspense that this is not any other thing that Olympic has. Of course, quality Olympic, of course, have that test. Now, it's choosing something that is slightly a better option. Like if I'm not a sugar free person, or if I'm someone who want to consume less sugar, this is the biscuit for me. So that's my target audience. It's my job just to reach out to those people among my brand, and then convey the message to them. At the same time, whoever else is out there will be taking these sugar-free items. There is a new category of people who will be coming into this brand for the first time. So yeah, I mean there is a easiest part. People already know your brand, so awareness part is kind of the easy job that you have. However, conveying what's different you're bringing on the plate, and how I am benefiting from this product compared to the other I have in the basket is the challenge in legacy brands.
I know a lot of you have a lot of more questions, but we're going to accommodate last four questions. So our question number 7 is for students aspiring to work in global brand management. What skills should they start building today?
Just, I mean, it starts with the very basic attending marketing classes and stuff. However, at the university level, the must do thing that I believe that any student should do is to participate in business competitions. There are like business case studies, business case competition, IDF competitions out there. So it helps you to, practice and learn some, to some extent, real world case studies or problems that you will get in corporate or global when you are managing a brand globally or for export markets. So that's the very basic stepping stone. At the same time, what business cases and competition does to you, it builds your teamwork, it builds your Excel skills, it builds your presentation skills, it builds your communication skills. These sets of soft and software skills is required for any work that you'll do for any global company, starting from MNC, whatever the role that you prefer. It can be brand management, it can be HRM, and any other position that you want to be in. But these soft skills and basic software skills will always be required. Other than that, just also build a network. Through competition, you can do that through club activities, and being a part of in any club helps you to go there. At the same time, these are the few things that during students, if you do, helps you to go for such positions or such places.
Thank you very much for your information. And we're going to take question number 8 from Azman Adib. Blue is a Gen Z brand, while Olympic is a legacy brand. What can be the probable differences between the marketing strategy of these two brands?
Um, cool. That's a cool question. Yes, Blue is a Gen Z brand. It's popular mostly from teenage to maximum 30s or so obviously the people that we have in Blue, mm, versus in Olympic. See, Olympic is a household brand. It doesn't target you generally. It has a very wide spectrum. The place Olympic has in you is like, first day, I'm having a coffee, I'll just have a biscuit or cookies. So I want this to be Olympic. Whether you are having it with your younger one, whether you are having it with your mother, father, or any guest that comes to your house. If you are giving them tea, maybe toast, biscuits, anything is there. Um, so the the main difference with the Gen Z brands are mostly digital. So you don't have, even if you do less jobs on traditional marketing, billboard, banners, and a few other stuffs, trade marketing, and uh, below the line, all the marketing campaigns, starting from SR to shopkeeper, the visibility is not required that much at this scale that Blue is in currently, because the people are literate. You, I mean, the audiences that Blue is targeting is very, they are very literate. They are very much into all the news that is coming through. They are very social media freak, most of the cases. So it's very easier, and the custom. It's a very niche categories that they have currently. However, for Olympic, it's a very mass and wider category. You, even if you don't do any digital activity, you have to do mostly all the traditional ways of marketing. And that's works for best for Olympic. And obviously second is the scale. The scale of budget, the scale of resources. If you put a crore, আমি যদি 1 কোটি টাকা ব্লুতে দেই মার্কেটিং এর জন্য, the outcome that I will be getting versus অলিম্পিকে দেই 1 কোটি টাকা মার্কেটিং এর জন্য, it's drastically different. uh, Maybe 1 কোটি টাকা is not enough for Olympic, and maybe 1 কোটি টাকা is way more than enough for Blue, since Blue is just a single product and Olympic is a multi-category product. The differences is there. Just for an information, as Olympic is out there in the market, every month we sell almost 200 crores BDT value of biscuits in Bangladesh. So you can see, understand the volume we speak about. So yeah, it's about the size, volume, and the mostly the target people that we have.
Okay, moving on. Another question from Nafisa Atera. Which consumer behavior shifts over the last 5 years have most impacted FMCG?
The most drastic consumer shift that we have seen was during pandemic. It changed the way people look at your brand. What happened earlier, especially I'm talking about especially in the Bangladeshi scenarios. What happened earlier, people used to go for their way to go was the cheapest option available. or someone who can give it to me the cheapest rate. We are a very price sensitive customer base in Bangladesh, in anyone, most of the cases. However, after pandemic, what happened is like people start questioning. They have that perception that they want, now there is a tendency they want to try something better, and they have that acceptability to get a different product. So that market is being created right now, and for most of the FMCGs, it comes to a plus point. They are trying to provide better quality products as people are being sensitive. To some extent, there is a mental perception that has changed compared to the previous time. They just don't want to buy something just because of obviously hunger or just the need. They want something behind. I mean, why would I get it? Is it better than that? So this behavior shift post-pandemic era is still going, and also the considering the fact that right now in our country, the young age people are the median population of our country. So obviously, there is a shift towards meaningful or somewhat better than the existing one. And it benefited FMCG most of the cases, until unless you are in the unethical business or in the business of producing bad items.
Those were extremely percipient information. We're going to take one last question by Aisha Nurabani. What career path would you recommend for someone aiming to be a brand director?
Start with that's one thing that is very good with this question is like you have that aim that you want to be a brand director. Congratulations on that. However, the my recommended path for you aiming to becoming a brand director, obviously you need to have that knowledge of branding. That's the very basic. However, it's not only not the knowledge or understanding of branding. You have to understand and explore the whole spectrum of the businesses when you become a brand director. If you do some research, what are the roles and responsibility of a brand director? It start with even it can be setting prices, setting distributor, which SKU to drop, which SKU to keep, which brand to introduce, what innovation to comes in, how to unblock any bottleneck that exists in the market. So it's a multidisciplinary skill sets that brings it together to become a brand director. So I would suggest to explore and take excitement in learning all those spectrum of the business, starting from supply chain to marketing, sales, or how does retail, even in how does a retail shop works? How do they position one products right beside another? What's the logic behind it? Just be curious about and open-minded about all the discipline that we have in business, with a strong focus on marketing and branding, along with the soft skills, presentation, being able to communicate things clearly, and few software skills, very basic Excel, Microsoft Word. You'll need some analytical tool. It can be Tableau, it can be Power BI, whatever you are comfortable in learning. Just learn it out. It will be benefited for you. Best wishes.
Thank you so much for answering all the questions. I hope all the participants now have better ideas about brand positioning, and we learned a lot of newer terms, very new knowledge for us. Now, would you like to say anything before we conclude today's segment? Would you like to add anything?
Uh, no, thank you so much. First of all, thank you so much for inviting me to share my um, uh, thoughts on branding. And I, I mean, branding in reality, it's as I said multiple times, it's never static. Nothing in this world will be static. Everything is changing every day. Let it be a pandemic or let it be just a new scenario that's coming in the market. All I would request you all to have that open mind to understand and learn new things. Now there is AI. We all are learning AI. The next day there will be something else. And being a student, most and you guys are institutional students, learning is our main goal. But having that openness, that whatever I'm learning today might not be in use tomorrow, but at the same time, whatever is coming tomorrow, I'm prepared for it. I'm ready to learn, and I am ready to ace. That being said, thank you everyone for listening to me. I hope my insights or my experience were benefited for you. If you have any question, feel free to reach out to me. That's it.
Thank you so much. We are more grateful to have you, and thank you so much for your time. Now, as we wrap up today's MTP, one thing is clear that the journey from brand insight to influence isn't just about clever slogans or pretty designs. It's about strategic trait Mr. Shah Paran has showed us today. The same trait he started building right here at North South. I hope all of us got the message across us and we can be more open-minded and flexible to learn new things, to adapt to more changes. And I would like to thank you once again for taking or giving us the time and sharing your knowledge. We are ever so
My
grateful that you decided to come here and decided to share your experience with NSUDC. Now, sessions like this remind us that debating is not just about winning arguments, it is also about understanding, positioning, and crafting narratives, and communicating with clarity in real world context as well. Because, of course, as we all know, hands on application is more important than whatever we learn in theories and classrooms. Thank you to everyone who joined today and made this session interactive and engaging. We are very grateful to have all of you, and we hope to see you again in our upcoming MTPs and events. Until then, keep thinking, keep articulating, and keep building your voice. Have a great day ahead, and thank you to everyone.